Modern Warfare 2 versus Modern Warfare 3. In today's video, we will be looking at some of the differences that are easy to spot and some that might not be as easy to spot between the games. First thing is first, Modern Warfare 2 has been out for almost exactly a year, and Modern Warfare 3 is only in its beta, so in some ways, some of the things that I will be mentioning could change drastically on Modern Warfare 3, but for now, we will be sticking with what we have and trying to point out some differences to see if it really is just a $70 to $100 DLC. The first things that you might actually notice straight off the bat when you play Modern Warfare 3 just after playing Modern Warfare 2 is there's a different color palette and a different font use. Now I know that these are like things that I wouldn't really mention, but since the game, just gonna kind of spoil it, is extremely similar to Modern Warfare 2, these things really do kind of stick out. The font itself seems to be very interesting for Call of Duty, and I know it's something that I personally would never point out in a Call of Duty, but this time around it just seems extremely obvious that it's just different, and I think it might be because the game is so similar in many ways to Modern Warfare 2. And the color palette goes from being a green to a blue, which is bizarre because the main advertising for Modern Warfare 3 really vitalizes that red color, but one of the main devs for UI and other things like that has said that it's kind of difficult to make red work and not make it look bad because, you know, red and green usually symbolize good things and bad things, but green is easier to symbolize stuff. It gets a bit complicated for the UX and UI designers. So that's one of the first things that I wanted to point out. I don't really have a preference between the two. It's kind of like an okay change. Next thing is gameplay, and this is the biggest part. Now, unfortunately, with the beta, we only have access to multiplayer, so we don't have comparisons of things like Warzone yet, or campaign, even though campaign would be a very bizarre one, or even the addition of zombies. Don't know what I would compare zombies to in Modern Warfare 2, but it's still one to put on the table, so maybe a potential video in the future. But Modern Warfare 2's gameplay compared to Modern Warfare 3's gameplay is quite drastic, and mainly with the speed. Modern Warfare 3 is insanely fast. It utilizes a lot of things introduced in Modern Warfare 2019 that became a huge fan favorite, and it brings them back. Putting the gameplay side by side, one thing you can instantly notice when you jump from another game to another is the speed. On Modern Warfare 3, when you run around and do stuff, you're super fast. It's super fast paced. You can tactical sprint super fast, run here, run there. And in Modern Warfare 2, you can still do those, but it's so much slower that I jumped from both games to get gameplay and just play Modern Warfare 2 on the side because the beta, you know, there's only so much that you can do. I noticed the difference instantly, and I do really prefer the fast pace of Modern Warfare 3. Obviously, another huge thing that has been reintroduced is slide cancelling, which I never really noticed before when I used to play Modern Warfare 2019. I was like, what is slide cancelling exactly? And I know a lot of you have played Warzone religiously probably, or just Modern Warfare 2019. Personally, I kind of skipped that year, and returning in Modern Warfare 2, I never was like craving for the slide cancelling, but having the access to slide and then cancel it, it's actually quite nice. I never really would have noticed it unless they reintroduced it in Modern Warfare 3, and I do love this addition. And when I jumped back onto Modern Warfare 2, oh boy, I really wanted this back. Also, apart from the really fast gameplay and other things like that, we now have a slightly different way of playing, and that is just mainly because they introduced a new tactical aim down sight. So they implemented one that used to be an attachment on Modern Warfare 2, or well, is on certain weapons, but this time around all you have to do is aim downside, and then if you're playing on console, PlayStation 5, whatever, press arrow down, and then you can switch to a side view of your weapon, which kind of makes a big difference in my opinion. It allows for more, well, tactical based attacks around the game and being able to fight enemies quite easier. Now, if we're gonna compare graphics or just like the way the game looks, it really is just the same game ported over with some different things implemented, like I mentioned, slide cancelling, the new tactical aiming downside, and some other stuff like there's a new fun lethal inside Modern Warfare 3 that is like a drone that you can activate and just let it go fly off and explode on enemies at any time whenever it like touches them or touches a wall. It's quite a fun addition. The same settings do carry over because the way you actually boot up Modern Warfare 3 now is from Modern Warfare 2, or well, now it's just called Call of Duty. So this is the way you're going to be able to play games, is just on Call of Duty, which behaves as one big game that will have every other game that you will ever want, which is an interesting concept, but a bit concerning for your storage. Will you be able to delete Modern Warfare 2 and still keep the Call of Duty app? will it just behave as every game coming up into the future? It's a bit confusing, but it's also a bit interesting because it's this idea that they've been proposing ever since, God, like Modern Warfare 2019 and Cold War combined together. They really tried to do that there, but it never worked. Then they tried to do it with Vanguard, it never worked, and now with this brand new engine, I guess they can. So that's why Modern Warfare 2 and Modern Warfare 3 share so many things if you hop onto the same game, even though the playstyle of like speed and maps and everything else will look different. The graphics, actual like core gameplay of gunfights, weapons, and stuff like that will always just look the exact same, because it's as if they just took Modern Warfare 2 and instead of, you know, constantly giving it seasons, it'd be like, oh, it's still the same game, losing a lot of money probably in the process. They were like, how about we just re-release it, reverse all the changes that were Modern Warfare 2 hated the most by fans, and slap on a $70 paywall behind it. And that's literally all that it is. Now, one other thing is the new progression style inside of the game is very different. Thankfully, to unlock weapons, it's no longer the confusing style of this weapon is this weapon, but it's also this weapon, and then it's this weapon. Unlock this weapon first and then progress to this other weapon so that you can unlock this weapon that was actually supposed to be unlocked at this level, but you didn't have access to it because you didn't have the special attachment for this weapon. Modern Warfare 2's weapon unlocking is probably one of the most confusing things ever. I have 2 videos on the channel that have over 100,000 views guiding people on how to unlock the weapons. That shouldn't be a thing. It should be a simple process of, hey, progress in this with levels, and then you unlock this weapon, which seems to be the case inside of the beta, thankfully. But there's also a very interesting new thing added on, a new special attachment system that is essentially putting on like a 3D printed blueprint onto an existing weapon. Currently, we have it with a pistol that changes it from a 3 burst to a fully automatic and makes it basically a submachine gun, which is a really cool thing. And this is what I feel like Modern Warfare 2 should have done with their weapon styles. Also, another difference, considering we're on this topic, is the UI. It is not as crazy good. It's still just as confusing in some ways. It's going to be very probably similar to what we have inside of Call of Duty app, as I mentioned, but it's unfortunate that they just, you know, keep going with this confusing style, but thankfully the creator class is different. So that is something that is thankfully changed, but also not fully changed. Now, don't get me wrong, there are also some other settings here and there that have been added to, again, satisfy the fan base and make it better. Also, another thing to, I guess, slightly mention, and it's something that we don't have in the game yet, but since it has leaked, you will actually have access to Modern Warfare 2 camos on Modern Warfare 3 weapons, but the camos themselves look completely different. If you're looking on your screen right now, this has kind of been leaked from the Call of Duty Next that they had access to. So you will have Platinum, Polyatomic, Orion, and Gold from Modern Warfare 3 on weapons, but they will look like way better. So I'm pretty sure Gold and Platinum will not be transferring over. Polyatomic and Orion will be, so you'll have different looks to weapons. So that's a really nice thing. That's, I guess, a potential in the future to be like, this is the camo on here, this is the camo on here. It's a really interesting change instead of Sledgehammer being like, let's actually just completely port the camo over like they did, let's say, in Modern Warfare 2019's Warzone and Cold War's Dark Ether and DM Ultra. This time around, they're like, hey, let's just make it a brand new camo, but also give players actual mastery camos to unlock on our core game as well. But also on top of the Modern Warfare 2 weapons, it gets crazy. There's gonna be a lot of content for this game, and as of right now, yeah, it feels the exact same like Modern Warfare 2. And I know a lot of people will say, no, it doesn't, blah blah blah. Personally, I played a lot of Modern Warfare 2. And I've played a lot of Modern Warfare 3, at least from the beta, and it just feels like the exact same game, apart from the speed of it, slide cancelling, and some little tweaks and changes that do make a huge difference. But overall, it is the exact same game. You can say what you want, you can be disappointed in it, you can refuse to pay for it, you can wait for Warzone 3, it's completely up to you. But the changes that they have made are a huge plus, and I'm all for them, and I'm really glad that they've reintroduced a lot of stuff, and I'm just curious to see how some of these playstyles will be adapted into not only Zombies, but also into Call of Duty 2024, with Treyarch taking over. It's very interesting. Now, I know this video kind of took a bit of a sharp turn from comparison of the 2 games. There's just not a lot that I have to work off of. For now, it's the exact same game with slight tweaks, as I've already mentioned countless times. Is it worth playing? Yeah, I think you should test out the beta and completely make up your own decision if you want to purchase it. It is $70, again, just a big $70 DLC. I'm not gonna hide away from that. I also did do a bit of a review on the Vault Edition, because you do have access to Vault Edition items inside of the beta if you're curious if it's worth it. Long story short, yes and no. No, because it's too much money, but yes, because you do get like nearly $200 worth of content for just $100. Ooh, wow, $100 cheaper. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Be sure to subscribe. We're on the goal to hitting 50,000 subscribers. We're close, but we're also not too far away. And also, I will see you guys in the next one. Peace out.